So we're working, welcome. We're working today in around the midsection, around twisting, around the spine, around the digestive system, and targeting the stomach and spleen today. So we're working to do a lot of twisting and a couple of back bends, just to open up the abdomen and give it a bit more space, and also a couple of forward folds just to compress and bring it back into that more grounded state. But when we're twisting, it's really working to create balance on both sides of the body. It's helping to wring out the digestive system, so we're getting a nice flush through. And we're just working to find that stability. So when we can work both sides, and we can start to balance both sides out, then that's when we start to come into that midpoint. And we really feel a sense of serenity and equilibrium, and it just allows the mind to come back into center. So it's a really lovely way to just get rid of anything that's not sort of bringing you into a space that's central and calm and grounded. So if ever you're working through any anxiety, any indecision, anything that's throwing you off of your center, twists are such a good way to just instantly bring you back into that center of peace and stability. So during COVID, it's always good to do some twists. So I thought we'd do a nice twisting class today. It's the element of earth. So also that's taking that down, nourishment from the earth. So the foods that we're eating, how are we taking in these foods and digesting them, assimilating them, and then eliminating what's not serving. So not only is that in food and sustenance in what we're eating, but also what we're taking in mentally, what are we taking in emotionally, what are we taking in from the world around us, and how is that being taken in as nutrition, as information, as something that's going to allow us to grow and expand and become more? Or are we finding that our digestion is slightly off and we're finding it hard to take things in, finding it hard to process, or things just go through us too quickly? Maybe that could be the case. And this is all to do with the digestive system. So this is a really nice one to also bring in if you're working with anything in the digestive system. So we're going to start first off in deer pose. It's a really nice one to just open the hips, gently twist the spine, and we can come from a seated position. If you need just a little bit of a lift or to balance the hips out, it's quite nice to have a thinly rolled blanket. So you can come into a position with your, I'm gonna just do the same as you, I'm not mirroring you. You can bring your left leg back. Just try to flex both feet so that this helps to open up the knee and the hip joint. And you can tuck that one back behind you. The further away from the body, the more of an opening it will be in the hip. And the closer into the body, the lesser. So just find whereabouts that feels comfortable. Front leg wants to be parallel, and then we can start to just gently turn to that front bent leg. So first just find a length into the spine. Make sure both sit bones are nice and grounded. And if they don't feel that they're particularly grounded, both sides, just grab your blanket and then prop the hips up. And then as you exhale, you can start to turn round to the right side. And we can either just hold on to the knee, or if it feels good to twist a little bit deeper, you can bring the fingertips to the side of the right hip. Again, try to not lift up on the left hip. You want both sit bones grounded down. And if you feel that you can twist more through the navel, you can then start to bring your hands down, maybe forearms. If that feels comfortable, just come to wherever feels good. We're just here for about a minute each side. So start to bring your awareness down into the navel point. We're working through this center today, so we want to really start to draw all of our attention and awareness down into the navel center. And we want to work as much as we can through a twisting practice with abdominal breathing. So we want to let the belly expand as much as you can on your inhales. And on your exhales, pull the belly button and the navel pull back to the spine. We're just taking one more breath on this side. And then we can slowly walk ourselves back on our next inhale to center. You can lean back into the hands, lift your knees up, and then you can either turn directly round to the opposite side or just shift the hips round. So this time, right knee is bent and the foot flexed beside your hip or just a little bit further out. And then the left leg is parallel, shin is parallel. Again, find the sit bones grounded to the floor. Any props that you might need to give yourself a little bit more support, just use those. And then take an inhale, lengthen the spine. As you exhale, we're twisting round to the left. So either hand to the knee or fingertips to the floor, twisting a little bit deeper through the center. Or maybe hands or forearms to the floor, keeping that right sit bone grounded. And then come back to the navel point, breathing into the abdomen, nice deep belly breaths. So we're getting a nice bit of mobility into the hips, the knees, but we're working mainly through the spine and the abdomen in this one. Just a gentle warm up for the spine, for the hips. Just taking 2 more rounds of breath. And on your next inhale, you can slowly come back through to center, move any props out to the side. And you can lean back into the hands, bring the knees up to center. Take a few sways through the knees side to side to loosen out the hips. Nice, and then we can come over into child's pose. So from here, just make your way toward the back end of your mat. You can grab a bolster for this one. We're going to be here for about 5 minutes or 4 minutes. So have the toes together, knees apart. If you've got anything going on the knees, just grab a blanket and prop that up. Or you can also take the blanket behind the back of the knees if you want to create a little bit more space. That's a really nice way to just add a little bit of space behind the back of the knee. And then take the bolster in between the knees. And if you want to make it a little bit higher, you can use pillows or bricks underneath, or you can have it just flat. And we want to work to take a nice long spine. The belly's rested onto either the cushions or the bolster, pillows. If you've got a couple of pillows, you might want to stack them up. So you've got maybe 4 or 2. And then you can turn your face to the right side. Arms can either be stretched out or you can rest your forearms down, whatever feels comfortable, just finding a nice space to rest into. So this one is more of a forward fold. We're working to compress the abdomen, but still allow a nice deep belly breath. We're also working a twist into the neck. Finding extension through the spine and that sensation of grounding down towards the earth. We come into that still space, find the pause, find a nice stable breath, and become that witness, just observing how the body feels in the shape. And just taking 2 more rounds of breath here. And then we can turn the head, look to the left side. This last 25 seconds. Keep coming back to your breath, coming back to that still space. And on your next inhale, you can slowly start to turn yourself back to center. Pat yourself back to come into a lifted position. And you can just sit back onto your heels. Take a moment to pause here. We're going to move the props out to the side and we're staying at the back of the mat. Again, if you need to prop the knees up, just use your blanket. We're going to thread the needle from here. So if we come onto all fours, and I want to take the right hand just a little bit further forward. And on an inhale, we can open the left arm, look up toward the ceiling. And as we exhale, we're threading the left arm through underneath the right arm, placing the left side of your head down to the floor. Try to keep your hips stacking over your knees, and the weight is just gently pushing back into the feet, the shins, the hips. And you want to feel nice length through your spine as much as you can. The twist is coming through the navel and also taking it a little bit higher into the upper back. You might find a little bit more space to thread that left arm through. And if it feels more comfortable, you can always rest with your right hand in front of the face, or you can take the right hand around to find the top of the left thigh. If you feel that you need a little bit of extra propping for the head or the shoulder, you can grab your blanket and bring that underneath your neck, the head, wherever you need a little bit of extra support. The more we can support the body, the more it will soften and relax. So always feel that if you need anything extra, always take that extra propping. It's going to help. So we're here for about a minute and a half each side. I'm not staying too long in this one. We've got about another 35 seconds to go. As much as you can, let gravity allow the abdomen to fall towards the floor. And this is just going to allow a nice pooling of blood into the abdominals, into the organs. Allows all of the muscles and the organs, the abdominals to relax. And we're just taking one more breath on this side. And on your next inhale, you can bring your right hand in front of the face. Gently push up as you inhale. Come back to all fours. Just realign. And then we're sliding the left hand slightly further forward. On an inhale, you can open the right arm up, look up to the ceiling. And as you exhale, thread that right arm through and under. Come into a twist onto the left side. Just realign anything that you need to prop. This side might feel different. You might be able to thread the right arm through a little bit more. You may be able to reach behind to grab for the right thigh. This helps to just open a little bit more into that left side chest, but we're working more into the abdominal, so wherever feels good, just finding that space to rest into. So this is also a very slight inversion, just allows the hips to be above the heart, and this helps the heart to find a bit of relaxation, allows the blood to pour down into the organs, into the heart and into the lungs. So we get a nice flush of chi also through the lungs. Just here for about another half a minute. Let's just take in one more round of breath. And on your next inhale, you can bring your left hand in front of the face. On the inhale, push up and come back to all fours. Just take a moment to come through any movements that might feel nice, maybe just pausing and extending the spine in tabletop. Or you might feel good to come through a few cat-cows or press back to child's pose, whatever feels good. Just taking a minute in between just to rebound. Nice, just 2 more breaths. And then we can come to sit back to the heels, coming into hero pose, Vajrasana. Again, if you've got anything with the knees, you might want to take the blanket to sit onto, just to add a little bit of space behind the back of the knee. Or if you wanted to work a little bit of height or support under your sit bones, you can bring a block, or you can bring maybe the edge of the bolster. You might want to bring a cushion. We're going to be here to do a twist, so just make sure that you're comfortable. We're working from hero just to keep the hips nice and grounded, nothing going on in the knees joint. And also it's a very slightly different twist. As we're working in a more of a neutral hip position, there's no rolling out through the hip joint. We can keep the spine nice and stable, and we're working to really turn as much as we can through the abdominals. So from here, just find a tall spine, gentle tuck of chin to chest, and energize out through crown of the head and tailbone. As we exhale, we can take the left hand to the right knee and just bring the right hand behind you. Try again, lift up from the heart center. And as you exhale, you can twist from the navel. So feel that you're energizing through the midpoint. You can start to look towards the back of your mat. And you can either pause here, or if it feels good for you, you can, on your exhales, keep finding those tiny, tiny twists. So just millimeters further around on your exhales. Keep the chin in line with the chest if that's more comfortable. Or look towards the back of the mat. So the stomach and spleen are the organ meridian pairs that are working together in this one. And as you can imagine, most of them are running through the center of the body. The spleen is the yin organ pair, and it comes up the inside of the big toe, runs up the inside of the foot, the inside of the leg, in the groin, and then it comes up through the groin, enters the stomach and the spleen. It goes through the diaphragm, the chest, the heart, and it ends at the root of the tongue. Nice, we're just taking 2 more breaths here. And the stomach meridian begins next to the nose and goes down through the diaphragm into the stomach and spleen, moves down along the tops of the legs and ends at the second toe. So these are the meridian lines that we're working. Now, so on your next inhale, turn back through center. Just take a moment to pause. Take another inhale, and as you exhale, you can turn around to your left side. Right hand to the left knee, and exhale, turn in a little bit deeper. Again, find the twist through the navel point. Now, if it feels nice, you can look to the back of the mat, or just keep the chin in line with the chest. Little Teddy's making an appearance today. He wants to. So you're going to be here for about another 45 seconds or so. So again, you can either pause and find that still point, or if you feel it's nicer to find a little bit of a deeper stretch in this one, then on your exhales, keep turning through the navel point. See how much deepening into this one you can go. Excuse me. Nice, we're just taking 2 more rounds of breath here. And on your next inhale, you can slowly turn back through to center. Take a moment to pause. Just feel the effects of that turning through the abdominals, through the spine. And just allow your breath to come back to nice natural pace. Nice. From here, we're working into a lunge. So this one we're working more of the front line of the thigh and a little bit on the inner leg, but also if you want to add on, you can add into a twist. So we're going to start with the right leg forward. So again, you might want to prop up the knee just to add any extra padding, especially if you're working with a really thin mat. Just make sure that you're propped up as much as you need to. We can take the right foot forward. Try to keep the back knee just underneath the hip and the front knees underneath, the front foot's underneath the front knee. And then we can either work to just pause here and find length through the spine. This is going to start a little bit of a stretch through the front leg, the back thigh, and a little bit of a stretch into the front groin. If you want to work a little bit deeper in your lunge, you can let your hips drop toward the floor so you start to feel the quad stretching. You can also lift up the back knee by pushing out through the back heel if you want to work a bit stronger here. And if you wanted to bring it more into a twist, you can plant your left hand down and either work to turn by pushing the front hand onto the front thigh, looking towards the back of the mat, or you can reach the hand back if you've got anything with your shoulder, or take your right arm up and turn from here. So wherever you are, finding a position that feels most comfortable, beneficial for you today. And again, keep the breath going through the abdominals, so nice deep belly breath. If you're in the twist, you're going to feel a little bit more of a restriction through the diaphragm, but this is good. We're just building up the diaphragm muscle by compressing the abdominals to that thigh. If you're feeling in your lunge, if you're taking just a normal lunge, it's more beneficial for you to stand up more. You can also lift up a little bit higher. We're just here for about another 45 seconds. Keep going wherever you are. Keep coming back to your breath. So as we're moving into slightly more difficult position, just tune in to see what's coming up for you. Notice what the underlying workings are of the mind, what your natural go-to is. When we start to challenge ourselves a little bit more, we start to really see where our, not so much weakness, but where our mind will go to, where we find challenge, how we respond. We're just taking 2 more breaths. Nice, wherever you are, just slowly turning back through to center. You can shift the hips back so you're coming more over the back leg. Bring your hands to center, wiggle the right foot back and step back. Coming into a tabletop position once again. Let's modify if you need anything different, if you need to add anything or take anything away. And then we can step the left foot forward. Again, you can frame the foot and stay here, more stacked through the knees and feet. Or you can start to let your hip drop toward the floor if you feel more of a stretch coming into the front of the quad and groin. Or you can push up, lift away, come into more of a lifted position. Or again, if you took the twist on one side, have to complete that on the other side this round. So you can either push onto the knee joint and look to the back of the mat. You can reach to the back of the mat if there's anything going on in your shoulder, or you can reach up to the ceiling and open up through the armpit, through the side of the chest. Wherever you are, we're taking 2 minutes, about 20 seconds in already. Come back to your breath, find stability. Just paying attention to notice if there's anything different coming up as you move through each side of the body. Last 30 seconds. Try to stay as steady as you can, as still as you can. And the more stillness that we find in the body, the more stillness we find in the mind, or the more that we can start to acknowledge what's arising in the mind. Nice, just last 2 breaths. And on your next inhale, slowly de-rotate, bring the hands on the inside of that left foot. Shift the hips back toward that back leg and then slowly bring your left knee back. We can take a stretch either into child's pose or downward facing dog, whatever feels most beneficial for you right now. Just coming into a rebound, or maybe it's even lying flat to the mat. Wherever feels good for you, just take in a few rounds of breath, let yourself come into a still point. Nice. From here, we're going to work down to the floor. So if you're on your front already, just stay onto your belly. We can all bring ourselves down to the mat. We're coming into Sphinx, or we can also work into a seal from here. We're just staying in 2 minutes, so not as long as usual, but it's just a nice way to ground the body when the belly's down. A belly down back bend is very, very grounding. It also doesn't spin the mind out too much. So we're keeping with that stable, but we're just allowing a bit more of an opening into the abdominals, also getting a compression. So we want to keep the breath into the abdominals and allow a nice deep breath. It's going to help to push the space in the upper back, the upper chest as the breath moves into these spaces too. So you can either work with forearms and palms down. Maybe it might feel nice to separate the feet a little bit more. This just creates a little bit of a lesser stretch into the lower back. The more parallel the legs are, the more of an intense lower back then this will be. And if you feel that you want to work a little bit deeper, you can take your hands just a bit wider than your mat, straighten through the arms and push up and away. Take the hands as far away as you need to, and try not to let the shoulders come up to the ears. You want to keep the neck long, the chest open, and even wrap the elbows under so you've got a little bit more space to push away from, and it keeps the shoulder blades down and wrapped around the sides of the rib cage. Keep the back of the neck long, so a very gentle tuck of chin to chest. And we're just here for about another 1:20. You can close down through the eyes if that feels nice. Try to relax the legs, relax the spine. Feel that lovely expansion and opening, that stretch through the front of the abdominals. And we're also working to compress the kidneys, which are in the mid-back, just at the bottom of the floating ribs. It's helping just to ignite a little bit more of a response in the kidneys, helping to cleanse, to detox, as we're doing with the wringing and twisting out of the digestive system. Nice, just taking 4 more rounds of breath here. Nice, slow, steady breaths into the abdominals. Finishing your next round of breath, and then when you're ready, you can relax yourself down to the floor. You can make a pillow with your hands, turn your face to one side, and whichever side that you look to, bring that knee up and just rest. And so you can slowly slide that leg back, bring your hands beside the chest, lift your upper body, come to all fours, and then we can spin the legs around and come into a seat. I'm going to come into a seated twist from here. So again, you might want your blanket just to give you a little bit of support in the hips. So seated twist, we can take both legs out long in front of us. Find your sit bones, so just moving any flesh out of the way. So you find those 2 bony points right in the center of the glutes. Find a tall spine from there, and then we can take the right leg up and over. If this is enough, you can work here. If you want to increase the stretch, lean onto your left hip and then take your foot round. Flex the foot. And make sure this foot is planted down. So you've got a nice anchor, the front leg and the back leg is down. Both sit bones are grounded onto the floor. And if that's too much, just stay with the first variation. We can, again, lift up, lengthen. Take your right hand behind you. On an inhale, lift up through the left arm. As you exhale, we're twisting through the navel. You can either hook the elbow and twist and turn, or you can hug the leg into the body. You can also extend the arm out and we can turn. You want to feel that the belly is sliding through and you're compressing the thigh as much as you can into the body. So wherever you are, either hook around the front of the shin and pull in, or hook with the elbow. Try to get the back shoulder down and away from the ears, open out the chest. And as you exhale, you can find a little bit of a deepening into the twist. Keep the breath into the abdominals. And you can close down through the eyes, just looking to as far around to the back of the mat as feels comfortable. Feel that challenge of the breath in the abdominals as the belly meets the thigh. And feel that resistance, but keep breathing into the navel point. So working to build up again, strengthen the diaphragm. And this is in turn building that strength into the Manipura chakra, the solar plexus. So that's the space just above the navel and below the rib cage where it starts to join. And this is our seat of confidence, willpower, determination, our space of personal power. So how much do we believe in ourselves? How much do we trust ourselves? And when we really start to build fire and power into this center, we really start to see our full potential. We start to see how we can take action and move forward with our lives. We don't feel so indecisive. We have the confidence to make decisions for ourselves that are in alignment with our highest self, with our highest version. And just knowing when we're connected to our Manipura chakra, we feel very in alignment with ourselves, very intuitive. So feel this center, the building of Agni in a fire. And feel yourself really burning away anything that's not serving you. Allow the twist to ring out anything that you want to let go of. I'll just here for about 30 seconds more. Take your last inhale here. And on your next inhale, slowly de-rotate, come back to center. Pause here for your exhale. Nice, you can straighten out through the legs. Come back through to center. Just realign the sit bones. And then this time we're going to take the left leg up and over. Find a lift through the spine. So we're lifting up the chest. Just gently hug that leg in. You can take the weight onto your right leg. And find again a nice grounding anchor through, sorry, the left foot, I meant not your right leg, is on the top. And then we can find both sit bones. Again, if they're not grounded, just making sure you're using any props. Flex the foot that's next to your hip. Bring your left hand behind you. Inhale, lengthen up through the spine. Reach up through your right arm. And as you exhale, you're going to either hook and twist or find a hug, wrapping the elbow around the shin bone and hugging the thigh into you. Or again, you can take that extension out through the arm, whichever feels most comfortable and you can rest most comfortably into. On your inhales, find length through the spine, chin is gently tucked into the chest. And as you exhale, you can slide the belly through, looking more towards the back of the room, back of your mat. And again, close down through the eyes, taking the awareness internally. You bring awareness back down into the navel, back into your abdominal breathing. Go here for one more minute. Taking your last 2 rounds of breath here. And after you finish your next round of breath, on your inhale, slowly rotate, bring yourself back through to center, pause for your exhale. Feel the effects of samana. Samana is that feeling of purity, of stillness, of clarity, of centeredness, which is brought on by twisting and finding that equilibrium, both sides of the body, masculine, feminine. And then on your next inhale, we can take top leg off and bring yourself back through to center. Gonna make our way down to the floor. So just bring yourself to semi-supine, feet on the floor, knees bent, and roll yourself down to the mat. Keep chin tucked to chest so you get a nice length through the spine. And then when you get down, just shuffle the shoulder blades down the back, tuck the tailbone under, and then we can bring the knees into the chest. Give them a nice hug in so the tailbone lifts up off the floor. And then you can either work to just hold around the backs of the knees, if that feels comfortable, working to bring the knees more towards the outer edges of the rib cage, or you can shine the soles of the feet towards the ceiling and hold around the outside of the foot, or you can take peace fingers and thumb round the big toe. Try to flex the feet and get the feet above the knees, and then the knees are pulling down to the outside edges of the rib cage. The knees want to edge towards the floor. They might not be anywhere near the floor, but we're just working to bring the energy of that down. So this is more of a forward folding position, compression in the hips. If that feels too much for you, you can also work in Apanasana, hugging knees into chest. You can just pause here. If you're working in Happy Baby, you're just going to get a little bit more of an opening into the hip joint. So just let your back rest completely. Try to keep the shoulders relaxed, keep the neck relaxed. If you need to add a prop, like a blanket underneath the back of the head or a pillow, just to give your head a little bit more support and lift, you can do that. But make sure the chin is gently tucked into the chest and the head is down on the floor. Tailbone is down on the floor. If it's not, you can maybe prop yourself up with a cushion underneath the tailbone. I'm not staying here for too long, just another minute or so. Really let your belly expand in this one. It's really lovely to get nice movement into the pelvis. So let your belly and breath be nice and full. And if you want to add any movement into this one, you can take some little rocks side to side. This one's a nice one to massage out the external hip crease and the lower back. So if you want to do that, feel free to. If not, just pause in here for another 3 rounds of breath. Let's finish your next round of breath. And on your next inhale, you can slowly release the legs. And as you exhale, gently bring the knees into the chest, hug in, just gently. And on your next inhale, you can release your feet down to the floor, taking any movements that you need to before you come into Shavasana. So maybe some knee sways, or if you feel quite comfortable to come straight into Shavasana, you might want to pause with feet on the floor, knees bent. You might want to take a bolster behind the backs of the knees, or maybe just take the legs out too long. You can rest your hands either onto the body, hand onto the belly, or it might feel nice to just take the arms out to the side, feet nice and wide, palms facing the ceiling and feet relaxed. Prop yourself up as much as you need, maybe bring in an eye pillow over the eyes. Take a nice deep breath into the body. And exhale through the mouth. Take 2 more of those, and as you exhale, really feel your body dropping down into the support of the floor. Let all of the muscles relax, any holding, any gripping. And try to feel yourself as open and relaxed as you can be. We'll finish with a little bit more abdominal breathing just for the next minute or so. You can visualize all of your attention, your awareness going into the expansion of your abdomen as you breathe in. And as you exhale, feel the navel pour back and draw back to the spine, pushing all of the breath out. And release the focus of the abdominal breathing and just let yourself come into stillness in Shavasana. Release all effort and allow yourself to rest. Coming back into that witness, back into the observer, back into that space of peacefulness, stability, and feeling that sensation of groundedness. On your next inhale, allow yourself to slowly bring some more energy back into the body. Gently wiggling the fingers, the toes, turning the head side to side. Taking any movements that allow you to come back into some movement, and anything that feels good for the body. Maybe a nice full body stretch, or knees to chest, or knee sways. And then when you're ready, just roll into whichever side feels comfortable. Take a moment to pause before you press yourself up to a comfortable seat. Just grab a cushion or a rolled up blanket, a bolster to sit onto. Just going to finish with a little bit of breath and meditation. Nice, so really lovely breath to finish with is just a very balancing breath. It's actually called balancing breath. So We want to take the thumbs onto the sides of the chest and the fingers are tucking into the armpits, the arms are crossing over. Try to lift up the chest, lift up the spine, and then let the arms relax down as much as possible with the heart space lifted. We want to feel that we're really relaxed through the hands, but there's a very slight pressure on the thumbs on the sides of the chest. And then you can start to close down through the eyes. We're breathing in and out through the nose. So just take a few rounds of breath naturally, breathing in and out through the nose. And you'll naturally begin to find that one nostril is more dominant than the other. So when you begin to find which one is the more dominant nostril, we then want to take the attention to the opposite nostril, the one that's not breathing as strongly, and send all of our awareness into that nostril to allow it to become more aware. And we're also directing the energy in and out of this nostril to find more balance. So keep the pressure in the thumbs, and now bring all of your attention, your awareness into the nostril that's not as strong. Just take your time. And you should slowly start to feel that the nostrils balance in breath. And the moment that you feel that balancing, the air feels quite balanced and consistent through both nostrils, you can then release your hands down onto your knees or into your lap. Just take your time whenever feels ready, no need to rush. And then this leads us into a nice position for meditation. So when you found that space, we're coming into our meditation. So from all of that power that we've created into the abdomen, the seat of our Manipura, our personal power, we're now going to pull all of that awareness back up and into the third eye point. So just start to draw your attention into your solar plexus again, into the navel point. And feel all that buzzy energy, that intention that we've worked through here to balance and stabilize. And on your inhale, start to draw that attention up into the point between the third, into the eyebrows, the third eye. So we're now directing all of this energy up in between the eyebrows. On our inhales. And on the exhales, feel this attention slowly dropping back down into the navel point. So it's like a circular breath, breathing from the navel point up to the third eye. And as you exhale, back down into the navel. Inhale is the lifting upward. And the exhale is dropping back down. And you may begin to start to feel or sense either a light or an energy, maybe a sensation. And if it feels good for you to bring this awareness, we can visualize a yellow light at the Manipura center, the navel. And as you inhale up to the third eye, we can visualize an indigo or purple color. And again, as you exhale, releasing the breath down to that yellow navel. And inhaling, bringing the awareness up into that indigo or purpley blue light at the third eye. Just watching that circulation of movement, of energy, of awareness. Nice. Okay, so from here we're going to add on to this. We're keeping the awareness up now at the third eye point, and we're feeling anything traveling up from here as we inhale, collecting all energy that's heavy, that's worrisome, any thoughts, emotions, past situations, collecting this all at that third eye point. And as we exhale, we're pushing all of this energy down through the digestive system, through this Manipuri center, and down into the earth. So imagine it now drawing down through, coming back to this yellow point as you exhale, and traveling through more into a darker color like black or brown as you exhale the breath fully. And then take the awareness straight back up to the third eye, into the midbrain, gathering all negative energies, worrisome thoughts, worrisome emotions, anxieties, indecision. And as you exhale, feel that all pushing down through the body, feeling that elimination down into the earth. And really allow the earth to absorb any of that heavy, dense energy and use that as compost, use that as fertilization for something more brilliant and bright to come forth. And this is where we'll create that energy up in the third eye point. So again, gathering all of that energy into the third eye as you inhale, as you exhale, visualizing that traveling down the spine, passing that yellow navel point, and exhaling dark energy, black, brown, dark grey, down into the earth. Again, inhaling back up to third eye, gathering in the midbrain, heavy emotions, thoughts, past situations, and exhaling, releasing that down into the earth. You may notice the body becoming lighter or feeling more spacious. Keep going with that circulation of movement of energy. Feel all density moving out of your system. Feel a sensation of lightness, brightness, confidence, clarity moving into your entire systems. Just taking one more full breath cycle. And then releasing that visualization and just sitting in the clarity, that sensation of lightness, spaciousness, clear-sightedness. Noticing the space that you've created within inside your body, your mind, your field of energy. And on your next inhale, we can draw our hands into Anjali Mudra, resting your prayer at heart space. Take a nice deep breath into the heart, expanding and lifting. And as you exhale, bow into yourself, offering gratitude to all that you are, all that you have been, all that you will be. Offering gratitude to our bodies, our practice, the teachers before us, the teachers now and the teachers to come. May all beings be free, happy and peaceful. Namaste.